Shalom, first and foremost, want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakwakadash. Double honors to the elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the brothers that are doing this work in true sincerity. And we're going to jump right into the lesson. This is Proverbs 12:1. It says, "Whoso loveth instruction, loveth knowledge, but he that hateth reproof is brutish," or as the footnote said, stupid. You know, so there's just some dudes, man. They never learn. They continue to make the same mistakes over and over again. They repeat the same offenses over and over again. They're just stuck on stupid. You know, they never take heed to counsel. They you know, and this goes for all kinds of people. You know, this goes for all kinds of people that you encounter in everyday life. You know, you see these individuals in your family. You know, you see these individuals walking the street. You see them as, you know, former friends that you once knew. You know, people that just can't fucking learn. They just can't learn from their mistakes. You know, they continue to stay in this cycle of bullshit because they hate reproof. You know, they'll agree with the reproof just to get you to stop fucking telling them. But they really do hate it, because if they did take heed to it, then they wouldn't be in the situation that they're in. And if you go to Proverbs, the 26th chapter, it basically gives a rundown of a fool. You know, because the scriptures cover all facets of life. So this whole chapter, if you just have taken a glance of it, you see the word fool repeated numerously. So that means that it was important for the men of the Lord to distinguish themselves away from fools. You know, that's even a term today, a popular term today. Hey, fool. They know Jay called himself that. What's up, fool? Hey, fool. You know, and that's a popular term that Jay calls himself. And that just shows you, you know, the downfall of our people, the stupidity of our people. So I'm going to go ahead and get a few of these proverbs. This is Proverbs 26:1. It says, "As snow in the summer, and as rain in the harvest, so honor is not seemly for a fool." It's not fitting for a fool. You're never going to see a foolish man in a state of honor. He's always going to be a state of shame, a state of embarrassment, a state of being short, a state of being a day late and dollar short. He's not going to be in any type of way of any type of honor. Let's go ahead and get these words: honor and abundance, riches, dignity, reputation. You're never going to see foolish ass Jake in a dignified manner. He's always going to be acting a fool and talking a fucking fool. It's always going to be, like you say, showing his ass, embarrassing his own people, and embarrassing his own self, embarrassing his mother, his father, his family. Just an overall fucking embarrassment of the bullshit that he does. And the scriptures, they put an emphasis on staying away from and just leaving alone what the Bible calls fools. It says a bird, let's get this word fool. Stupid fellow, dullard, simpleton, arrogant one. And what's arrogance? Let's go ahead and get that definition for the word arrogance. This is the definition for the word arrogance. It says the act or quality of taking much upon oneself, the species of pride which consists in exorbitant claims of rank, dignity, estimation, or power, or which exalts the worthy of importance to the person to undue degree. Proud, contempt of others, conceitedness, presumption. I will cause the arrogant or the proud to cease. You know, so in his own mind, he's something, man. In his own mind, he's better than you. He has it all figured out. You know, he knows more. But in reality, he don't know a fucking thing. And that's these Christians first and foremost. These Christians, you can say, are fools or arrogant. And that's Jake for the most part, man. Jake is arrogant. Jake is just stupid. He thinks he got it all figured out, man. He thinks he knows the better way, the best way to do shit. You know, in all actuality, you know, he has no clue of what he's into, or what he's about. It says, as the bird by wandering, as a swallow by flying, so the curse call they shall not come. A whip for the horse, a bridle for the ass, and a rod for the fool's back. And that's how the Lord's gonna deal with fools, by punishment, man. And we're gonna go ahead and get these we'll get in the Good News translation. It says, praise for a fool is out of place, like snow in summer or rain in a harvest. Curses cannot hurt you unless you deserve them. They're like birds that fly by and never light. Curses cannot hurt you unless you deserve them. And who's gonna deserve the punishment of a curse? A fool is. You have to whip your horse, you have to bridle a donkey, you have to beat a fool. You know, that's why when we were young, if you had those type of parents, whenever you fucked up or did something wrong, you know, you will most likely get your ass beat. And that sort of strained you out, man. That made you think twice about the shit that you was doing, you know. That made you consider, is it worth to engage in those behaviors, man? It says, if you answer a silly question, you are just as silly as the person who asked it. You know, and you know what? You can liken that to these Christians, man. They come in the spirit of a fool. They come with the spirit of arrogance. So this applies to you Christians as well. You know, we're to stay away from you fools, you Christians. You know, because the Christians are they're the ultimate fool. You know, so this all applies to your everyday life, man, and how you have to recognize the stupidity in other people, man, and also you got to recognize stupidity in yourself. You got to check yourself if you're acting like a fucking fool. If you're acting like an arrogant, you know, thinking you know something, man. You got to check yourself when it comes upon you to speak in a silly tongue, man. You can't be too silly out here. You know, you got to be a serious-minded individual. You know, moving and shaking out here as a man. To be anything less than that is it's gonna bring yourself problems, man. You know, you gotta have a serious, austere demeanor, just as Yahweh Shai had. And that's something that you gotta watch for in your daily life, man. That's something that you gotta really put into check. We're gonna head and continue on this chapter we're dealing with fools. It says, verse 5, answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. Let's get that in GNT. It says, gives a silly answer, a silly question, and the one who asks will realize that he's not as smart as he thinks. Let's get that in the NLT. You know, these different translations, they'll shed some light on some scriptures. It says, be sure to answer the foolish argument of fools, or they will become wise in their own estimation. Trusting a fool to convey a message like cutting off one's feet or drinking poison. You know, so there's many scriptures that deal with fools. So the proverb, the mouth of fools uses as a paralyzed leg. One of the fools is tiny stone to a slingshot. So basically, a fool is someone that is a liability to himself and others. A liability to those around them. Being around them is only going to take away from your resources, you know, because he's gonna try to use those resources from you, and you know he's gonna try to make you feel sorry for him. You know, look at me, woe is me, I'm in this situation, that situation. You know, well, the reason most of the time you in certain situations because you made bad decisions to begin with. You made foolish decisions to begin with. You know, so you got to recognize foolishness when you see it, man. You also got to recognize foolishness in yourself. You know, you got to shake out this old man. And some of us were fools, or were foolish when we were in the world. And by the grace of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, you know, we've been taught this knowledge. And being taught this knowledge should make you think in a whole different light, man. It should make you see everything in a whole different light. It should make you come to different understandings about your behavior and your mentality and your way of doing things. You know, that's a true spiritual maturity. You know, let's get that scripture. And children be malice. The malice be children. Let's go back to the King James. You know, spiritual maturity is part of shedding off that foolish, childish mindset. This is one of my favorite scriptures, man. It comes up. 1 Corinthians 14:20. Brethren, be not children of understanding. Don't be simple in understanding and knowing things. You know, be mature in understanding the scriptures and applying them. Howbeit in malice be ye children, but in understanding be men. So let's go ahead and get that in the NLT, man. Dear brothers, here, don't be childish in understanding as these things. Be innocent as babies when it comes to evil, but mature in the understanding of matters of this kind. That's plain and simple right there, man. So the point of this lesson is recognize foolishness, recognizing in yourself, and put away those traits, and recognizing others and stay away from those that display those traits. Because all you're going to get, man, is a bunch of fucking frustration and headache and heartache, like I like to call it, man. You know, and the reason I made this lesson, because, you know, you deal with certain individuals, you know, out here, you know, whether it be at your job or your own family, and you realize that there's just no hope for some of these individuals, man. They're just going to keep on doing the same bullshit that they fucking doing, and until the path of destruction finally catches up to them. But with that being said, man, just a real quick lesson here at the plantation. Most High Word of Hope is edifying. With that, we give our honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Kahala, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Brothers, keep on pushing. Shalom.